Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another cast of Major League Mech Warrior. This is the last round of Week 7, QQ Mercenary Corporation versus 228th IBR's Black Watch. Joining me today is Army of One. How's it going, man?
It's going great. In fact, it's going so good we're missing the Sony press conference right now.
Yeah, for you 9 people that I see already watching this, man, you've got some real dedication to be watching this instead of Sony, or maybe just on top of Sony. Maybe you've got 2 open, maybe you should, because E3's happening. This will be up on YouTube later for any of you who, see your game and just have to bail out in the middle of a match. They will be up later, so don't worry. For those of you who are dedicated enough to stick around, I've got lots of mech bays to give away, like another 5 or 6 or 7 or however many I can remember to give away, depending on how long this series lasts. So, traditional Major League Mech Warrior rules, Conquest 3333, Skirmish 720 tons, Conquest 3333, Skirmish 600 tons, and then back to Conquest on the last drop. All drops on Crimson Strait this week. What do you think about this map, Army?
It actually wasn't the map that I was expecting. I accidentally thought that it was last week's map. I was looking at HPG. I was thinking, oh yeah, HP, open up the map tactic. That's not HP. Gotta switch the overlay. Okay, let's get into this.
Yeah, no, not quite. This is Crimson Strait, and definitely an interesting map, and one that has a couple of imbalanced locations that I think that before we get into this, I would like to point out here. I do, for the viewers, have a special surprise. Automatic overlay switching. Allegedly, there will never be another radio broadcast on this channel. I can't promise, but this auto switcher, it's up to it now. I'm not in control, so pray with me, viewers.
Well, if anything does go wrong, I'm manually doing it, and I've actually got my own custom overlay that I just threw together on OBS. So nothing fancy, nothing high tech, other than this huge computer that's sitting next to me, but nothing automated. So if something screws up, it's my fault.
Well, that's good to know. We've got one running on automatic and one running manual, both with a high possibility of failure. This is going to be an exciting day. So, taking a look at map tactic here, the position I want to talk about in particular, in Army, I just gave you drawing powers, so you do have this now, but is this D5, D6 hill. It's a big hill, the top ridge is like right there. And it is a phenomenal defensive position. If you watch the matches between Atari Scorpions and Clan Smoke Jaguar, I guess we can just do a quick recap of those. First drop, CSJ sort of held up here. AS did an interesting split push where they harassed with their lights, came in with their beef from here and some storm crows from here. It was a good push, came down really close. CSJ only had 4 standing mechs at the end, a couple of those heavily wounded, but ultimately AS's push got just a little too strung out there, and it didn't work out for him. Second drop was this fun little point that I've drawn on the map down there in D5, D6. Basically, it's the ultimate place to camp on this map. I remember seeing this a long time ago. Imperial used this to great effect against SJR, but CSJ sat up on that hill, and AS just had nowhere to go, nowhere to approach from. They ended up going over ridge because it was the shortest approach, but there was just nothing they could do but get mowed down on the way in.
So we'll be seeing that hill really be used a lot in Conquest. Whoever spawns on the right side of the map, that's going to be their go-to spot to bunker down.
Well, I don't know about Conquest because it's away from so many points.
Skirmish.
Yeah,
I did mean skirmish.
And it basically comes down to who basically. If they do what AS did, I think AS basically just didn't remember that spot existed, didn't think about it. But basically, if you lose the first drop, you get to pick which side of the map you want to be on. And you need to pick this side of the map. This, the side with D5, D6. Because if you don't get it, and they get to camp it, and you have to push them, as you do in the second round, if you're down one, then you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. So I definitely expect whatever team wins drop 1 to be forced to spawn out, you know, on the island side in drop 2. And if they don't, then I expect them to just take that hill and camp it.
Now, during the conquest matches, I think that we should expect to see people in D4 camping the top of the garage. That gives you excellent coverage of Epsilon and Kappa, as well as a bit of space behind you. You can also grab Sigma as well on this map, at least. I'm not sure what it is in game at the moment because they changed everything around. But I think D4 and C4, that area is going to be, that pass is going to be the most vital position on the map in Conquest.
And I can definitely see that. It does have a couple of issues depending on what you decide to do. If you go up top, you're sort of exposed to a push from below sometimes, although you can really make good use of those manholes up there and shoot down through. But I feel like whatever team spawns up top, and I sort of expect QQ since they have the choice of drop zones, that, I mean, if it was me, I would pick this Gamma drop zone and I would just try to control these 3 points. You can have nice firing lines on Epsilon from that ridge there. If you want, you can move your guys up into the city in here to protect it as well. I just think it's easier to pull off half map control from that side. You can definitely shoot down on Epsilon from the top platform, but it's harder to actually cap it.
Right. You certainly wouldn't be... you'd be denying the point rather than controlling it.
Although a quick light cap very well could get in on Epsilon early if the other team is lazy. We'll have to see what kind of decks they bring. I could definitely see some people try and kite Ravens again here, but fire starters are good on this map. Those buildings make fire starters fantastic for close-in combat.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think we'll be seeing the same tactics that we saw in Tourmaline, where we had the Ravens with large lasers, for instance. Not as much, at least. It'll be fire starters, fast movers, and quick hitters.
Definitely. And the team that is spawned on Sigma side, and again, we're just going to call these the points that they are here, because I don't know why PGI renamed the points, and I refuse to call them by their new points because they're dumb.
It's map balance.
Whatever, dude.
Because too many people were taking Epsilon, so they called something else Epsilon that wasn't... Wait, that's not how it works.
You know, I really did wonder when they first changed it whether it was, like, just a stupid bug, or if it was something really dumb. Like, they thought, well, maybe if we change the names, they'll go to different points. Like the lamest psychology experiment ever, where let's take the middle point and not name it Theta.
I have to interrupt you because Carp says that they are dropping.
Yeah, it looks like they did just get in game, so I should probably get up the spectator site and launch.
And I'm launching in myself.
Launching on Carp. I'm clicking the client, auto switch works. It's like magic. No more radio broadcasts.
And they're off.
Looks like we've got blue is QQ down here. 3 dire wolves. We've got 3 fire starters, 3 wolverines, probably the large laser builds, and a hellbringer and 2 timberwolves. So a little bit of ECM, but pretty standard deck.
And Blade Sprint is already headed straight that Epsilon cap in the middle that we were just talking about. And it looks like, yeah, they're not going to be able to defend against that cap at all.
Very similar drop decks here. I'm seeing Wolverines, all Hellbringers instead of Timberwolves, and of course Direwolves and Fire Starters for 228. The Fire Starters going all the way to Theta right now, and they might actually catch Nuber alone. Nuber coming on in this Fire Starter, but he is totally isolated. If he gets caught out by these other... Oh, he sees him. He sees, and he's getting the hell out of there. Smart move. He did not get caught. A relentless push across the water here from 228. Lots of trading power.
And QQ has taken that middle Epsilon cap spot, so they are now even on caps.
And 228th heading towards Bravo 2. Their direwolves quite a ways in the back, but they've got covering fire on them. They're just sitting there on Overwatch, and I expect them to pause at the city here to wait for their beef. QQ really balled up back here, sitting on that ridge, waiting for them to come into the city.
And a good artillery strike on Peter 2000 is Wolverine. He probably doesn't want to be hanging around there too much because QQ's just sitting right over that ridge.
Yep, looking at damage numbers, I see a couple of pretty damaged Wolverines for QQ. Rygat almost lost his right arm, and that's basically that entire build.
New target acquired.
Johan is already neutered in his Wolverine, so that's basically one mech down for QQ. I mean, he's got armor, but... Michelius, 70% in a Hellbringer for 228th. Let's take a look at him. He's definitely opened up.
He has no left arm or torso. He only has a medium laser and Gauss rifle.
Still, he can put out DPS with that, and he's fairly fresh otherwise. Both teams playing it very cautiously here, just taking small trades when they can through the buildings, not really making a huge effort to move.
It seems that 228th has come from the Bay Area and retaken Epsilon, so they are now up on caps.
Yeah, 3-1, so they're winning quite heavily now on caps, and QQ's going to have to make a move here, and it looks like they are rotating right. You can see this is not a great place for QQ to be trading from. It's way too tight of a lane. Their 3 direwolves are pretty stacked up. Floff heavily wounded, or Fate 6 heavily wounded here. Floff heavily wounded in his direwolf, but wow, Plasma just got full load in the face from 2 direwolves. And the direwolves from 228th smartly staying as far back as they can, very fresh. It's going to be very difficult looking at these wounded QQ direwolves to compete with those fresh ones back there. 228th has just done a better job on trading here. Just from the looks of those assaults. 1 down. Nuber and his Firestarter went down for QQ. I don't know exactly when that happened. I really wish they had kill messages.
Just wait until July 27th, and then we'll have a nice UI to use.
Mercenary's down too. I don't know what he was in, but... So it's... Oh, now 3 down for QQ. I don't know where these guys are dropping from. And now 228th, looks like they're moving in for the kill. They're pushing aggressively left. QQ trying to retreat back in the city. Perhaps fall over left on Michelius, the Hellbringer. He is stranded, and I do think the Firestarters are going to take him down.
Riot's Wolverine is Cord CT, so if he pokes out just a little bit more, he's going to go down pretty quickly.
Icy Zero leading the charge in his direwolf. Let's get in on him. Please, please get in on him.
Target destroyed.
228th is absolutely just incapacitating QQ right now, taking off components from Timberwolves, killing Timberwolves like Pisces Pisces Zero just did.
Yeah, it's just cleanup, and this is what happens when the direwolves don't take damage early on. You see what a disadvantage it puts that entire team at. They just got whittled down. 228th just had the better trades, had the better firing lanes. and they took it.
And that's it. 228th is up 1-0 to QQ Mercs. And
So,
you can see just from the damage numbers how imbalanced this was in 228th's favor. The highest damage output in QQ Mercs is around 400, not even breaking it. But you see Pisces 0 at almost double that.
Pisces 0, you get 500 MC for that round, pal. You touched everybody, which is my favorite thing to do in a match. But you also got 800 points and 4 kills, so very nicely done. But yeah, you look at their damage, pretty steady across the board. A couple outliers under 200 or 100 not doing that great, but for the most part they carried it through, and they had on average probably 100 more damage, if not 200 more. They just made the better trades there, and it shows. They just had the better lines, and their direwolves especially, they really coddled them. Pisces 0 in that direwolf, I'll bet you the most likely to suck was probably in a direwolf, although I can't see that. But those heavy mechs got allowed to do the damage that they need to do.
Most likely to suck was in a Wolverine, the 2K.
I guess that wouldn't surprise me, but wouldn't have been my first guess. So Blackwatch takes the first match against QQ. If it's switching overlays, it's just that's how it works now. It's kind of awful that it has to switch automatically, but it's better than not seeing the match. So good enough. I'm gonna go ahead and get on map tactic here and clear off what we've already drawn. So, QQ did pretty much what I expected. They took the upper side. They did set up basically around here. They set up in this sort of clearing out there. I just don't know that you can get great trades out of there. I don't know. I haven't really fought out of there and really taken a look at what you can do versus what kind of looks they're getting in the water, but it sure seemed like they were sure getting out traded. I mean, early on, they did take Epsilon, but then, you know, that was just a quick light rush, and then they got out of there. 228th actually took Theta really early on to put some pressure on QQ. And at some point, I think they ran off and got Kappa, and they already had Sigma. Maybe they didn't even get Kappa. You know that I think about it? They did not even get Kappa. They just took Epsilon. They took Epsilon after they'd pushed QQ back, and so it really made it this awkward task for QQ. I think it was a really smart play to attack Theta like they did, because, you know, effectively all the guys out in the water have got great lines on Theta and everywhere around it. So once they had control of that, it was a really risky play for QQ to try to take it back. And of course, Epsilon, they just didn't have the ground to get it done. They needed to win the trades, and of course, they did not. You know, 228th with like a split line, kind of, with the Direwolves on Overwatch. Everybody had great looks, and that's all it came down to.
Yeah, I think it's at least a bit counterintuitive for me to set up in that C2 just in the water. You know, I mostly play pugs, mostly play solo, and teamwork there is few and far between, to say the least. And if you were to try anything like this tactic that 228th did, you'd be absolutely shredded, because those lines work both ways. You can see at every point on Theta, but everyone in A2, A3, B3, they can all see you too. But the difference is, when you have 12 people sitting in C2, if one person pops out from behind cover, everyone can see them and everyone can jump on them.
Exactly, and that's really what it comes down to in these high-level competitive matches, is you're better off owning a spot and being completely without cover whatsoever. And but if you own that space first, you know, then when one of them, or two of them, or even 6 of them pop up, it's your 12 against however many they just got over a ridge, and usually you're going to take 1 or 2 of them down. You know, in that Antari Scorpion CSJ match, the first guy, the first Centurion to crest over ridge, got melted. I mean, it didn't just touch the apex of the ridge, and it got just blown apart, you know, and that's what that focus fire will do. That's what high-level game is all about, and I think having that sort of split line where one was behind the other allowed them sometimes to have 2 mechs trading whenever one QQ guy was popping out in any given lane.
And I didn't watch the match myself, but I will note Centurions do have lower hip hip height hard points in the right arm, in the CT, and you'll have to expose yourself much more than something with a higher hard point. I'm sure that that Centurion wanted to get some shots off before retreating, and that's probably not the best idea in a Centurion.
Well, to be fair, AS was going full brawl. It was all Wangs, nothing but Wangs and Direwolves, which was, I don't know, I almost thought the Direwolves just ruined their strategy for them, because if it had just been like all Wangs and some other fast mechs, then I think they would have maybe had the speed to push up on CSJ as fast as they needed to, but with the Direwolves, it was just like, they're just gimped in terms of the movement, and that is why I actually really like the Skirmish 720 tons, which is coming up next, by the way, because you can really do some interesting drop decks, and you can make it more uniform, so you've got more speed to play with, and, for me, that's definitely always what I'm about.
And I think it's interesting to note that most of the clan mechs, just because of how they're constructed in tabletop and how they were brought here to MechWarrior Online, is they all have fixed engines. So you can't change engines on, say, a Stormcrow or a Timberwolf, and they all move the same speed. Stormcrows and Timberwolves, they will move in a pack, and you won't have stragglers or outliers unless you're bringing dire whales, in which case you lose that advantage of mobility and the ability to react. But if I would imagine we're going to see a lot of clan mechs that have the same speed.
Definitely, I think that, especially for less experienced competitive teams, I think that clan mechs are the way to go because they force you to run at the same speed. Everything is going about 90, and that's great. You just can't beat a force of all tonnages that's all moving at that uniform speed there. It's why the clan mechs have been so dominant, because you look at anything that the IS does, and it's a little bit sturdier because it's got a regular standard engine and it's way gimped in firepower, or it's just as fast with an XL, but it's super squishy because it's an IX XL. And just to announce, Oni Musashin and the Beef, you win the first 2 mech bays of the night. I guess I'm trying to figure out where I'd put my mech bay codes for you. So, alright, there we go. I love Twitch's new whisper thing. That is just the greatest thing that's ever happened. They are in lobby, so I assume we'll be launching shortly-ish here. I also see a couple in Mech Lab, so that never bodes well, but who knows?
So I was a little, I guess, curious with the statement that I said. And just looking at the heavies, every single clan heavy moves without speed tweak at 81 kilometers an hour. Every single one without exception.
It's pretty nice.
And actually the gargoyle as well, if you wanted to take a gargoyle for
well,
some
again, the executioner isn't close behind. I mean, they're all, aside from the direwolf is like the outlier amongst all the clan mechs that we have, where it's like, this is totally not like the rest. This is a giant hulking monster with as many weapons as you can put on it, but the rest of them are fast as hell. Oh man. E3. Always a great time of the year.
E3.
That's where all of our viewers are, watching the Sony press conference, no doubt.
Were you able to catch the Nintendo World Championship last night?
No, I didn't even know that was happening.
Yeah, they brought it back first time in 25 years.
I don't even know what it is. What is it?
It's basically a showcase of a bunch of awesome Nintendo games and a bunch of awesome players. There were, if I remember correctly, 8 players that qualified at Best Buys or something like that, and then they invited 8 other players, one of which is one of the fastest speedrunners, or yeah, still is one of the fastest speedrunners of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. He can actually beat that game from start to credits in less than 17 minutes.
Oof.
If you can believe that.
I can. Those people are insane. I've watched some speed runs every now and then, and it's just, wow, what an art form. Totally different.
But it was an excellent event last night, and the speedrunner I was talking about made it to the finals, Cosmo, if any of the viewers are familiar with him. Made it to the finals. Excellent games, Mario Kart 8, Smash Brothers, Splatoon, and they ended up with the new Super Mario Maker. Game that has not been played by these people at all. It was really a treat to watch.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch people that are masters of their craft play a game, just like we're doing now in a certain extent, and especially this Sunday. Imperial versus SJR. It's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be casted, obviously. That's going to be that's going to be the first time they meet, possibly the last, but I think that everybody believes they will probably be the last 2 teams fighting it out in the finals. It will be on the heels of a stinging Imperial loss on for Run Hot or Die. They lost against this year, I think 3-0 in that series, and it just wasn't their night. But, you know, other nights they've done the exact same to SJR and just rolled them over. So I definitely think they're going to be out for blood. I think that SJR is just on their game lately. They just, you know, kicked the shit out of CSJ last week. They've continued their dominance with Arhad last week, and, you know, I think they're going to continue to do it. I'm really excited to see that matchup.
Well, I think the next 3 matches are just going to be excellent games of MechWarrior. Just because whoever wins here, QQ or 228, they're up against Clan Smokejags, and then Clan Smokejags will go to play the winner of the Steeljag Imperial match that you were just talking about for the title. It's just going to be 3 excellent games. I'm absolutely sure of it.
They are still in lobby. We're not just, you know, like jerking off here watching the press conference. We're here. We're awake.
Well, I don't know about you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I only need one hand to cast, but yeah. No, we're paying attention. It's all right.
And it looks like Parp is saying that they're going to be launching soon. See him typing in Skype. I see you.
Trademark. You know, I feel like you should start typing into chat match in 5. That would be a helpful thing for the viewers.
That's what I usually do if they are guessing or something like that, and I'm talking with them.
Yep, I guess I'll start doing that. That is probably helpful, almost as helpful as the automatic scene switcher. So the second round, I sort of expect QQ to take the top side of the map, because if they let them have that hill, it's over. But I also expect...
They are launching.
I think 228 is going to take the hill, or the island out there, and just sit out there and do nothing. So we're going to see if I'm right, if they're going to make QQ push in, but I expect them to just try to out-trade him again. Sure enough, 228th is on the south side of the map. Southwest, whatever. Novas. Novas, Hellbringers, Direwolves, and a couple of fire starters. So still a pretty split deck. And for QQ, it's a Hunchback, not with LRMs. A lot of Hunchbacks, not with LRMs. Well, 2, but that's still a lot of Timberwolves, Hellbringer for ECM, and a couple of fire starters for some light support. And
it looks like they're not going to that defensive hill that we were talking about, but rather swinging right around the mountain.
Well, because they can't. They have to push on 228th, and so I expect 228th to do the camping out on the island. And sure enough, that looks like where their Direwolves are setting up. They are just going to sit out there, and the Novas are hiding in town. Look at this. It's like they're ready for an ambush. I'll bet you those are like small pulse laser. Let's check on these Novas and see what we've got. QQ going way around the right side. Crazy stuff. They're really being sneaky here.
Yeah, they're actually in the bay itself. I never see that in solo play. Everyone always takes the streets and the roads and hiding in buildings.
ER smalls. All ER smalls for the ambush Novas. I'm going to get in on Queensblade here and just take a look at what he's doing. They're trying to scout out QQ's position. They don't know where they are, but they're about to find out. Queenblade coming around this corner here. Oh, right over the top maneuver. Oh, is he going to get... Oh, he's going to get wrecked going around the corner. Down to 80% in one shot. Oh, and he's trying to escape. Can he get away? Oh, man, they really needed to take him out there. If they could have gotten up 1 there, that would have been a decisive advantage early on. That is not how it played out, although they are trying. So let's take a look at Queenblade. How much damage did they do there? And, of course, 228 pretty much set up to receive this. They're not doing too bad. Yep, Queenblade opened up on a torso, but that's about it. Let's see if Fluff gets clocked as the first one out here. Those Direwolves are all going to be watching. Good discipline, staying here and not peeking. That's exactly what they need to do. And QQ's going all the way left. They're going to try to use that hill to swing around back and maybe...
And Fluff is going for it. They are pushing out into the water.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see.
QQ's pushed him down.
Brawler, yeah.
QQ's running high heat, but they're going in. They're being aggressive here, and 228th. They're just trying to get a firing line now here out in the water, and the Novas are going to try to flank around back. You see Peter 2000 down to 59%. If he can get in here late, and oh, they're doing a nice job using this ridge as cover. They've sort of isolated the Direwolves on the left here. If they can come over, be aggressive, and get them down, they'll have a nice advantage. None down for either side yet. Panic button about to go down in that Direwolf. And both Direwolves down for 228. So it's 2 apiece. No, 1 to 2. QQ's favor. 2 to 2. We're in R13.
Of course, those Novas are not built for long distance trading. ER smalls are very close and personal. I mean,
no, QQ's doing a better job of circling here, but they're all getting spread out at this point. Those Novas coming in on the back of QQ's line, really starting to tear Scarlet Johan up. Now the push is just getting spread out and they're firing at all sorts of stuff. If they could just regroup right here, I think they have. It's a very close fight. Could go either way.
Scarlet Johan goes down in her Timberwolf.
We're in on J-Man. Oh, yes, machine gun AC-20.
Target destroyed.
And QQ is going to take this, sure enough. They have done a better job, and they're going to take drop 2 with this aggressive push.
New target acquired.
I'm so proud of my guys right now. I'm totally in the bag for QQ on this one, and that was a great push. They got a little disorganized at one point there, but 228 didn't capitalize, and sure enough, now it's just this fire starter. Blade Split and him are going to duke it out. Marshall's not far behind in his fire starter as well. El Ducarino's shut down, and this is going to be it.
Yeah, when you shut down in a fire starter in the middle of a bunch of enemies, you're not going to last very long. Oh, he's lasting longer than I thought, but his leg is gone, and now he is dead. QQ ties it up 1-1. We'll be seeing a game 4 tonight. This is actually only the second time someone's gone to game 4, isn't that right?
And I would just like to say that both times have been QQ. So props to my guys for giving us the rounds that we want. And you see damage spread just generally better across the board for QQ. Nobody under 100 for either team, so that's good. But QQ just putting out about 100 more damage on average. They did a great job neutralizing those direwolves early on. You see Pisces 0 and Panic Button. We're not allowed to do what they did in that first game, and that is what you must do. If they have direwolves, you have to kill them. They do too much DPS. Those dual Gauss rifles are just heat-free DPS, and they did a great job on capitalizing on it.
So we'll be going into game 3, which is going to be another conquest drop. 3-3-3-3. So it's not going to be, let's see, so darn. I actually can't see what mechs they have just because
it's broken.
Weird.
Yeah. But don't worry. Well, I mean, I don't know who got what, but I do know the general mechs that they were. So that's something. I'm heading over to Map Tactic now. Kind of get a recap of this round. I should probably bring up friends list just to make sure I don't miss them on the next drop. So 228th pretty much did what I figured they would do, and they sort of started camping the hill out here. Just wanted to, you know, it's a nice position to be. It makes them cross the water to come to you. Lots of open ground to cover. 228's a great trading team. And the Novas sort of went up here for an ambush. They thought that QQ was going to come in a more traditional route, perhaps through like Bravo 3, but they didn't. QQ went just all the way around.
They went all the way around B1, all the way around Theta.
And the Queen Blade right there in that blue X just got nailed by their full line when he scouted them. But it did at least allow them enough time to get shifted. But QQ pushed really strong. They smartly got up here, and then the whole force went. All of them blobbed up all the way across the water, stayed on, you know, this side of the ridge that's sort of right. I'm going to draw it in purple. The top of this crest is sort of right here, and there's enough cover that you can sort of hide mechs behind it from the other side. Did a great job, neutralized the direwolves that were standing out here. The Novas tried to flank around back, but just didn't. I don't think they got there quite early enough.
Yeah, once QQ started pushing, 228 certainly started to rotate into C2 to their right. But those direwolves, much slower. Nice Pac-Man, by the way. Much slower than QQ's forces that were able to rotate around them and take them down very quickly.
Yeah, it was definitely good, and you saw at the end, even though QQ's push got split up, you know, they were sort of, some of them were focusing on the Novas, and some of them were focusing, you know, they were sort of in two kind of split groups almost, but 228 was even more split. They had two extremely wounded mechs sitting up here, they had the Novas, you know, kind of over here, they had one running around here, and they just couldn't pull it together, and QQ definitely did. Although it looked like it might falter at some point, they really pulled it off and ended it well.
Now, if I remember correctly, QQ was 8th seed, is that correct? And 228 is 4th, right?
Yes. So if QQ takes this will be the third upset they pulled. They knocked 228's sister team out, the Swamp Foxes. They were ranked 7. Last week they took down Mercstar Axis of Ignorance. They were ranked 6th. And so if they can do it, they're basically going to be the only not top 4 ranked team. Basically, otherwise, it is going to be the top 4 ranked seeds are the final 4 contenders. So QQ would be thrown in a huge upset here, and man, am I hoping for it.
Everyone really likes a good underdog story. So, QQ won this drop. What side of the map do you think 228 will drop on this time? Do you think they'll go south side again, where they spawned the first match, or do you think they'll switch it up?
I want to believe they'll go topside again. I just think topside has easier control over those 3 points. But then again, I say that, but, you know, they did a really good job dominating that first time out at Island. So I guess I can't really say that. It was much easier for them to get a hold on Theta. I don't know. God, that's a tough one because they can't really camp the hill. You know, I'm gonna put my money on they'll just go out in the water and they're gonna try to out-trade him again.
It worked well last time. It stands to reason that it should work well again.
I mean, fair enough, but then again, you know, QQ did the better job this second round, so I'm looking here and I'm seeing damage numbers on these Novas. Sure enough, the Novas, you know, pulling off 300, 200, and 100 damage in that last round. Definitely not enough if you're going to take those Novas. You know, I think that would have been better as a Wolverine with large lasers. Would have served them a lot better trying to mow those mechs down as they come in. That is the problem with those close range. You're just gambling that, you know, they're going to be effective.
Well, I think if they were correct in thinking that QQ was coming in through B3, you know, more inland, more traditional, one might say, I think it was correct to have short range, very, very high DPS mechs stationed right where they had them. But they just didn't see the unorthodox strategy of swinging all the way around that peninsula, and it just caught them off guard, and they weren't able to use those short-range, high-DPS mechs to their full potential.
I agree. I think that, you know, given traditional wisdom, it was a smart play, but somehow QQ just said, nope, we're going all the way around. Never seen that, but that's what I love my team for. They just do all sorts of weird stuff and make it work. No one knows how. Honestly, I'm hoping for J-Man with Lerms. Like, really bad on this round. I want it.
His Hunchback 4J was really a big star of the show last match against Mercstar, raining on those dire wolves. He's just out of left field, and you mostly don't see it coming.
Yeah, it was, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition until it's raining down on their head. What a horrible way to die in this game.
Weapons! We have our chief weapons, of which we have two, are fear, lerms, and unorthodox. Our three weapons are...
Yeah, that's about right. I don't know, man. Lerms are horrible.
Tell them what the weapons are.
Lerms are just demoralizing as hell. You know, there's nothing that makes a competitive player rage like getting killed by LRMs. There is just nothing worse than getting rained on.
Oh, because they can fire from behind cover, and the only thing you can do is sit behind cover, and then you're out of the fight where other people are dying, or you're out of position because, hell, I need to get out from this rain. It just doesn't work out well for anyone who gets caught under them.
You know, as much as people say they're totally useless, it's like, you know, all the damage you're doing is shit damage because it's spread damage. It's like, it's spread damage and it's suppressing fire. There are not many people that like hanging around in the open, and as far as I'm concerned, doing damage while completely taking an enemy's guns offline, that's serious business. I think that, you know, they're not useful in all situations, in all maps, anything like that, but having one or two LRM harassers, definitely not a bad strategy to mix it up every now and then, and I think that you know, of course, J-Man knows what the hell he's doing in the Hunchback.
And actually, now that QQ has seen 28th hang out in that water not once but twice, I think they might have Lerms on the mind after this. Because there's nowhere to hide. You get hit or you get hit. There's no other option, especially for those direwolves that are slow moving. Oh, and it looks like they're... Oh, no, never mind. They are just out of lobby. I wonder what's going on.
Rebuilding mechs, I see. Yeah, I don't know. Time to give away Mech Bay. Let's see. It's gonna be Fluffy Bun Bun and Caffey Angst. You are the winners of the next 2 Mech Bays.
I thought it was more Calf Angst, not Caffey Angst. But
I don't know. A lot of people call him Caffey, Calf. I don't know. You know what? Calf, when it rolls around, just how do I say it? Pronounce it for me. I'm not going to look up that German word. I'm way too lazy for that. It's not going to happen.
Don't worry. We can wait 5 minutes. They're out of lobby right now.
Alright, I'm going to send these codes out here. Let's see. Calf, I'm sure needing tons more mech bays. That's another thing I want to know. How many C-bills do you have? What is it, like over 1 billion now? Because you don't buy real mechs like a man. You only buy mechs that you can win with. Jeez, what kind of preposterous philosophy is that?
I am space poor. Right now I'm not too space poor because, you know, I got a couple million from some recent stuff. I've got 4.8 million sitting in the bank at the moment. That's the most I've had in probably a year. I am so space poor.
You know, that makes me feel like I'm not homeless enough, because like I've always somehow got money, or at least I have for a long time. There was a point where I got like over 50 million, and since then I've been back up and down between like 100 million and, well, $0 when the clan sale happened. But it looks like they just launched in, so let's get in on this. Drop 3, Conquest 3.
Please, J-Man, bring Lerms. Come
Come
on,
on, J-Man! Come on, baby.
I already see a couple of dire whales.
Sure enough, 228th is going to take Island side, so I think they're going to try a repeat of that first drop and hope that they can outtrade QQ like the first time. You want to go over QQ's drop deck? I'll find them.
Well, Floff, Morgan, and Fate 6 are in direwolves again.
Sure enough,
Nuber,
full trade. Oh, go ahead.
We've got 3 fire starters, Nuber, Blade Sprint, and Marshall X. I'm seeing a Stormcrow from Redline. I don't think we saw that in an earlier drop deck. But a couple of Timberwolves and J-Man 5 and his AC-20 Hunchback.
Yeah, and Soviet also in his Hunchback. Those are the 2 best Hunchback pilots in the game, in my opinion. I've never seen 2 people pull off as many amazing shots. But from 228, it's a complete repeat of the first round. Exact same drop deck, exact same strategy, going for the early Theta Cap again. They're going to do the same damn thing, and this time they've got the Wolverines for the full trading power that they didn't have in that first game. So we're going to see how this works, because QQ going all the way around. So kind of a mix of the first and second games.
And it looks like 228th has the exact same drop deck that they had last time. The Conquest match, that is. 3 direwolves. I'm seeing, what?
3 Hellbringers, 3 Wolverines, and 3 fire starters.
And 28th has already taken Epsilon in the middle. So QQ took that very first last time, but they're not even trying this time.
QQ's direwolves are staying way back. It's like they've intentionally held them back to try to, I don't know, to get their main force up there, maybe do a split push, something like that. They're definitely getting some different looks.
QQ is swinging around like they did in the second match to take Theta, but it'll be hard to take with all the firing lines 228 has.
They're going out
right
for
now.
it, and Quicksilver's way out in front. I think that he's going to get focused really soon. This push does not look nearly as coordinated as it did the first time. I don't know when these direwolves are going to get here, but they're a little late to the party. The timing on this is not going to work out well for QQ.
QQ's main force just stranded out in the bay. The direwolves are just now reaching the coast.
And it looks like the fire starters are in, pressuring the direwolves, trying to get some looks. Blade Splint down to 71%, Nuber down to 80-something%. Almost, oh man, they're getting torn up, but they have bought their main force time to close in. Now it's about getting a coordinated push together because they still look really straggled. The direwolves for QQ now crossing the water to the right.
I noticed UAVs all over the place. And we've got 4 UAVs up at the same time over the island. Everyone should know exactly what's going on.
228 this time, totally ready for this, and they are just playing the back off game. They are backing off. They've got a Hellbringer and a Wolverine behind QQ, putting pressure on from behind, but it looks like one down for each team. This is pretty close. 228 responding nicely, but QQ continuing the push.
It looks like QQ has split up 228's forces. You noted the Hellbringer and Wolverine behind them. I don't think that was a flank. I think the Wolverine just went down. I think that was a split. 228.
Still, now it's not looking good for QQ. Now it's definitely turning in their favor. The direwolves have not gone down. They're fresh. QQ is just too split at this point. The push is stalled out, and it looks like 228 is going to push back in. These direwolves way behind the main force. 228 just played this to perfection, and you know they fell back. The push just didn't work with those direwolves so far back. I mean, you can't have the last 3 mechs on your team be your 3 direwolves that were just way behind that main push. It was a close match, but 228 really responded nicely.
I wouldn't call that close. I would call that decisive. 228, as you said, reacted to that push perfectly. They fell back, took out all of the fast, weaker mechs before the direwolves had time to, you know, come to the front and actually help.
I guess it was not close in terms of score at all. I just think that there was a point there where QQ could have had it if 228 did not keep backing off, or you know they responded a little bit differently to being split up. But you know, at the end there, they just got way too strung out, and it went heavily in 228's favor.
Yeah, I would say that was a misplay from QQ, stringing themselves out that much. I think that's what really decided the match.
And it was 228's play that allowed that to happen. You know, they made that happen, and so now they're up 2-1. We're going on to skirmish 600 tons. Let's see here. There we go. But yeah, it was just, they just kept backing off, which is what they needed to do, and get them really strung out, because those direwolves, they got in initially a little bit too late, and they just kept getting further behind the more that push kept going. Guess we should probably erase all the stuff on tactic and redraw this, huh? And bring up the friends list so we don't miss them dropping. So many things to remember. Alright. So, 228 again, setting up with their nice little sort of split island epsilon setup. A little bit shifted though because QQ was coming from up here rather than from down here. Although their direwolves did go down through here. Direwolves did go down through the center of Bravo too. And this was sort of the problem. Hang on. Grab this little segment here. Because when QQ started pushing out, you know, they had one guy way out in front. They had a few more. They were pretty. It was spread. And then they had, at that point, their direwolves were only about here. You know, they needed to be out there and firing at this point. So the push continues. Lights get in here just to harass the direwolves, and that succeeded. But their lights traded quite a bit of health to get it done. And by now, you know, the direwolves are out here, but the main force was up here. 228 just continued to back off. Their whole force just kept falling back. They had two guys that stayed up here near Epsilon to shoot QQ from the back, and QQ just couldn't afford to, you know, turn around, really. And at the point where they were here, they were all spread out. Their direwolves were still in the water, and everything was split up. They just had no chance at the end there. Great response by 228. And for the record, I don't see a penis on this map. Oh, never mind. I do. I guess you could make that
No,
a penis.
I see a couple of balls. A couple of blue balls.
You know, it's like this is a penis, but it's part of some guy's face. So it's like, let me draw the face. Yes, this is what we're doing now. Right? Like, that's his face, and he's got like a beard or something that radiates. I don't know.
Or it's one of those like sort of African tribal necklaces where you have the discs that stretch out your neck.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's even better. I like that.
Yeah, I think QQ realized that their direwolves were going to be much slower than the main body of their force, consisting of Stormcrow, Hunchbacks, Timberwolves, and Firestarters. So that's why they split off into B2, but I'm thinking that they might have been even more effective if they had gone through that B3, B4 pass straight onto Epsilon. They would have reached the fighting stage much more quickly than going up around B2. It's sort of, well, how much do we split off these slow mechs is the question, and whatever answer QQ had, I don't think it was the correct one.
No, I think that if they were gonna do the push like they did, like that really aggressive push again, they needed to take honestly
faster assaults.
Yeah, like I mean,
maybe
I'm not
Victors.
I don't know, because that's the thing. It's like, I guess Banshees, because Banshees for that heat-free AC5 DPS that can keep up with everything else, and they still are really tanky. I guess that's probably what I'd go with, because you really do need something faster than a Stalker, you know, faster than, you know, most things are going to go, but it can't be too brawly either. It's got to be able to trade, so I probably would have gone with Banshees instead and just kept them with that force. Yeah, there was just... You know, 228 just did a great job of backing off, which is exactly what they needed to do in the face of that push. Still, though, a good effort by QQ. I think that, you know, aside from a little timing issue with those direwolves, I mean, it was another admirable push.
Oh yeah, I think the push, the main body of it was well executed. But the timing of those direwolves, I think, was probably the biggest misplay. And still no LRMs.
You know, I really am sad about that. I think J-Man really did get shut down there and didn't get to do much damage. And, you know, it makes me wonder, like, why push out into water like that and have those kind of brawly mechs? I mean, I don't even really know why they had it the first time. It worked out for them. But I think it's dangerous to take mechs as brawly as they're taken in some respects, where it's like, if he would have taken his LRM Hunchback, he probably would have put out 400 or 500 damage and really suppressed the shit out of some people. You know, those lights over there harassing the direwolves would have gotten some extra help from the fact that they could, you know, provide some locks and, you know, get some extra fire coming in. I just think that they sort of gimped themselves by going with a little bit too much brawl there. But maybe I didn't see their full drop deck, of course. But if you know, I assume those 2 Hunchbacks were the AC-20s that I come to expect from them. So.
Well, it was a 4G and a 4H, and I assume J-Man didn't change up the build and was still running AC-20 and machine gun. I assume that the 4H was also AC-20.
Yep. That's Soviet's famous 3 medium laser, AC-20, and J-Man's, which is weird. 2 machine guns, AC-20, like a small pulse laser and a medium pulse laser, so some weird crap like that. That's what J-Man does. But I think they would have been good, but, you know, do a gridiron. You know, gridirons have insane DPS. Put those out there. Those would have been great in that round. I just think you're totally handicapping yourselves.
Gauss Rifle has just so much more range and so much more reach than any AC-20 out there. They would have been able to, well, suppress fire. They would have been able to put out DPS much sooner than, I don't know if they were even doing much at all in that match.
I mean, that I can't remember what the damage numbers were, but I feel like I saw the Hunchbacks not doing a whole lot, and it's just because, you know, that's the risk you take when you take brawling. Because if they have range on you, and you know you got to cover 400 or 500 meters to get to them, and they're smart enough to back off, so effectively you've got like 700 or 800 meters to cover to get to them. Those brawling weapons are just a waste for 800 meters worth of walking.
And to make matters worse, it was 2 mechs that were outfitted for short-range combat that just weren't being used.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a good thought. You know, worked for them the first time. You know, both of those mechs pulled quite a bit of damage there, no doubt. But, you know, 228 adjusted. You know, I think they just expected it to sort of work out the same. And it's like a team that's as good as 228 is not just going to play that the same way again and just let you roll over them like you did the last round. Not going to happen. I mean, the rounds with Imperial were all complete nail biters. At every one of those 3 rounds, I thought 228 had it at some point. They were all that close, and every time, EMP just stole it away by a hair.
So while we're waiting, what are you looking forward to this E3?
Well, I do get to go on Wednesday, which is always fun. That is one of the...
get to go to E3, lucky dog.
I know, that's one of the perks of working in the industry. It's not as good as you'd expect, though, because it's just like, hey, here's all the trailers you've already seen and all the stuff you've already seen. And then if you want to do one of the play demos, it's either like you have press access or you are waiting in a 4 or 5 hour line. None of the things I care enough about to do that, but it is fun to just go wander around, see all the stuff, visit the booths, get some swag. It's a really great experience, and this year it's just so many good games, so many developers figuring out how to do a lot of things right. You know, a lot of those shitty systems that you see in so many games getting fixed, and it's just a great time to be a gamer, I think.
I was actually able to go to CES this year in January, and that was absolutely a treat. It was great seeing all the TVs. 4K Panasonics with HDR built into the TV itself. It was.
Oh god, you know,
it was
did you
excellent.
see like the flexing TV screens, like the bendable ones,
Oh,
the
yeah,
bendable
yeah,
OLEDs?
I did.
I haven't seen any of that stuff. How is it?
I stopped by. I would say it's a cool concept, but I haven't really been a fan of OLEDs or LCD panels. It's just not. I would much rather have plasma displays personally, but those are being phased out of existence, unfortunately.
Well, still though, 4K
and the
resolution.
bendable panels. Yeah, my biggest gripe is refresh rates. It's being able to see a smooth picture. I really don't, I would much rather have a 720 screen with 200 hertz, 240 hertz, than a 4K screen with 60, because like you wouldn't be able to play MechWarrior on it. It would just be jittery and just bad.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, that's what I'm really excited for right now, is anything virtual or augmented reality. I've actually got an Oculus dev kit, and
Oculus.
it's fun. I'm excited, about the consumer specs, but honestly, did you watch Microsoft's HoloLens / Minecraft demo?
I did. I was able to catch that.
Microsoft doing something I'm excited about for the first time in years.
Oh, I think they are dropping.
You are correct. Let's hop in. If 228 wins this is going to be the last game of the series. QQ has got to take this one and the next one to win, so we're dropping in. Let's see how it goes. Round 4, 600-ton skirmish drop. It's going to be a little bit lighter than the first one. And it's QQ's burden to push.
Now, last time QQ took Thunderbolts and... Well, it was Thunderbolts and Firestarters, medium pulse lasers, and they were able to out-kite Mercstar's Streak Crows. I'm sure 228 saw that. 228 saw that, and I can already see most likely to suck in a Nova.
Lots of Novas and Storm
Novas.
Crows. All Novas and Storm Crows. Is that it? Just Novas, Storm Crows, and 2 Firestarters or something like that? Whereas QQ is like all Thunderbolts and Firestarters. Yet again, we're going to see the Wub drop deck. So, wow, full Wubs versus what does... Wow, ER Smalls. All ER Smalls. This is going to be a brawl.
Yeah. This is going to be a hell of a brawl.
Oh, I am so excited for this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of round you can only hope for. The only ECM on the field is one Hellbringer from QQ, it looks like. And wow, this is just going to be a total hairball. Excited to see this. Novas versus Thunderbolts. I think the Novas might have an advantage, I gotta say.
Yeah, I gotta say that as well. They put out a hell of a lot of DPS. How many lasers do they have on each arm?
6.
Are they running 5
Six ER small, and I don't know. I like the 10 small pulse better than the 12 ER small, but they're both pretty damn effective. So
I remember when Clans first came out, I was running 12 ER smalls and 4 machine guns and just chewing the crap out of armor, anything in my way. They are glass cannons and they go down quickly if they're focused, but if you can go unperturbed, you're just going to kill whatever you're staring at.
Yep. Well, we're going to get in on Morgan as QQ pushes to the right here. I assume either he or Carp is the drop commander, so... Taking a pause while everybody gets grouped up. And... green light, they're going. Oh no, they're doing a little bit of trading. Peter, 2,000 down to 77% in that Nova. Somebody cored out from behind too.
Yeah, Blade Sprint snuck up around Panic Button and just hit him in the back.
Wow, Green down to 70 and he's legged. QQ getting a lot of good trades. Those Firestarters doing work. Aggressively pushing those guys kind of isolated over on the right side. Panic Button especially. Oh, Street Crows. I see Street Crows. Rygat almost down. He's going to go down in like one more shot. He's down to 50, and he's dead. Those Street Crows just absolutely deadly. He did not use the buildings. QQ's push sort of stalled out in those buildings, and now...
Yeah, I gotta say, drop deck wise, I would certainly put the edge towards 228 this time. Last time MS went almost exclusively Street Crows, and QQ was able to, you know, just kite them. But now you've got a bunch of Novas to worry about,
and it is a tight match, 3 to 4. Queen Blade almost down in that Nova.
Although we've got 2 Novas taken out, Quicksilver and his Thunderbolt.
So
that's a Thunderbolt down.
Advantage is 228. They're up by 2 mechs, but they've got a lot of leg Novas, and Floff takes one down. 5 to 6 now.
And I was talking about how delicate Novas are. It's those legs that are just paper.
Yep, QQ all sort of stranded down here in the water, and I think they need to push. They cannot afford to get down here and get surrounded. They have to make a decisive move in one direction, but I don't know that they're going to do it.
But unfortunately, they can't push indiscriminately because they have those Street Crows to worry about as well. If you get too close...
Floff is legged. Yep, this definitely looks like it's going to go 228's way. If those fire starters can pull it off, it'd be a miracle.
It's what, 2 Thunderbolts and 3 fire starters left for 228th?
Oh, they got a Stormcrow.
Scratch that. One Thunderbolt left. Oh, they're dead. Wow, that was fast and furious, and a win for 228th. They take the match.
And the series. So that was a hell of a brawl, just like we expected. It was good to see. It really looked like QQ might have had the advantage at some point there, but the push just sort of stalled out, and maybe they had too many leg mechs to move on. 228 got the upper hand and got the high ground. QQ just kind of got trapped around that corner, and that was it. Good job to both teams.
And, well, I must say, I am quite glad Twitch did not die.
As am I. I have been recording this locally just in case, but yeah, so heading over to map tactics here. I'm going to clear off the canvas and sketch out a nice last brawl. That was it was a good way to go out. I'm sad to see my home team eliminated, but you know, they put up a good fight. They gave us a good show. It was close, and whatever. What else can you ask for, right?
Technically, you could ask for one more game, at least, but they made this 4th match an excellent fight.
Definitely. And, you know, basically QQ showed up there in red, you know, streamed in. 228 sort of moved over here, and it just became sort of a shootout in the city. Honestly, it never really turned into the furball I thought it was going to. It was a very organized brawl. You know, they were almost trading in brawling range. They both stayed very much together. It was a very interesting, you know, really close range trading engagement, as sort of awkward as that is.
I think that has a lot to do with how 228 set up. They set up in that B2 region that you circled, and they were waiting. They were already ready for QQ to come in. And QQ, I'm sure they saw that, and they didn't just attack directly and make it a furball, because they would have been just walking into the waiting arms of 228th. So instead, you know, QQ stood on the right and 228th stood on the left, and as QQ sort of tried to swing around, they were just whittled down. Those Novas just do so much DPS.
And even their alpha is incredibly impressive as well. You know, they're just all around, you know, a really deadly short-range mech. But, you know, as you can see up on the map, you know, they sort of change positions, and the final positions are sort of the colored-in ones. Yep, there's a penis there too. Thank you, viewers. And, yeah, basically QQ just sort of got trapped down in the low ground there, and there wasn't really any way they could get up without making like a concerted push. And I really think that mostly QQ's push just sort of stalled out right around here. And if they'd really, because 228 was fairly split, you know, they had some guys, you know, around here trading. I think they could have really collapsed hard on the guys that were sort of stuck up more in this area here and had some more success. But, you know, it was a very organized brawl. It wasn't too decisive, but it definitely went into its favor pretty convincingly there at the end.
Yeah, I think it's a hard call. Would the bulk of the Thunderbolts be worth it to go into that and try to disrupt the what they had was a firing line of Novas, and you don't want to be standing in front of that. So it's a hard choice for QQ. Do you send in your Thunderbolts and try to split that up and then go from there, or do you try to save the Thunderbolts and trade effectively? And whatever the answer was, 228th had it, and they were able to use the. These are the Brawling Novas that we saw earlier that didn't get much use. They posted up in the same B2 region, waiting for QQ, and this time they got to use them.
You know, one thing I will say is looking at the scoreboard now that I'm watching this on replay, Stormcrows, the two Stormcrows were top damage on 228's team by a large amount. Those are those Street Crows, and they just shut some people the fuck down. You know, I think it was a great play to bring those Stormcrows as sort of a nice balance to counter the lights, and it might have been, you know, although that said, QQ's lights pulled off a lot. Marshall doing 412. That might have been top damage on the team. If not, it's pretty close. So.
Yeah, I think MS made a mistake with their drop deck when they brought exclusively Stormcrows. Yes, it would have been deadly if you get within 270 meters, but they didn't get within 270 meters on Tourmaline. They stood back with their Thunderbolts and they just pecked them down. But here, they didn't have that luxury because those Novas could have reached out, and I'm sure they did, and tried to lure them in, which I'm sure they did.
Yeah, it's absolutely true that, you know, they brought something they could trade more, and additionally, you know, this map just lends better to streaks in that you have cover in the buildings. You know, you can't kite like you can on Tourmaline. There just aren't the firing lines for it.
Well, you can kite if you go out into the water, but that's not where they posted up. If QQ would have cut down through B3 through Epsilon, they could have probably made it to the water. But then you have, what, 7 or 8 Novas that are looking at you in the water? Ooh, that's not a place where I want to be.
Yeah, no. I think that, you know, they did close to as well as they could have. I just think that they perhaps would have been better off really pushing that right side hard and being, instead of, you know, trading as much as they did. I think that even with the Thunderbolts medium pulse lasers, it's mostly about like heat generation and that you're going to get more DPS, but that Nova I think is going to have the better alpha, so
Oh yeah, Novas I would say hit harder than Thunderbolts, but they are notoriously fragile. You just saw legs popping off left and right on the Novas. I think QQ would have been better, like you said, if they would have pushed hard into the firing line and used the tankiness of those Thunderbolts to their advantage. Instead, they didn't.
Definitely. But I guess that was probably going to wrap it up for us. I guess we might as well do shout-outs and all those other good things. Thank you, PGI, for the prizes and all that stuff. Tina, especially, for helping getting everything organized and publicized and all of that, all the free mech bays and that kind of stuff. It's pretty awesome. Hope you continue to do that for other leagues in the future. Thank you to
Thank you to
for
both
being here.
teams.
Oh, yeah.
The games that we've seen throughout this entire tournament have just been spectacular.
Yeah, Mav had me read off the teams last time, and I'm going to do it again because I think that's good practice. All the teams that competed, thank you. You made this a good show. We got some fun out of this, and I hope everybody had fun competing. Phoenix Legion, or Phoenix Company, sorry. Isengrim, Seraphim Rising Storm, New Texas Mercenaries, Restless Adder, Apocalypse Lancers, Tikhonov Commonality Armed Forces, Ransoms Corsair, Strategy, Mercenary Corporation and Affiliates, Marine Mechs, Comstar Regulars, Death Hand Brigade, Nightwatch Mercenary, Coalition, Inferno Express, Mercstar Turret Drop, Second Federated Sons, Imperial, QQ Mercenary Corporation, 228th Black Watch, Antari Scorpions, Steel Jaguar, 228th Swamp Foxes, Clan Smoke Jaguar, and Mercstar Axis of Ignorance. Thank you all for playing. It has been awesome. I guess I should give a shout out to new followers on Twitch. Yeah, that's right. Need to clear out my email now. Loganaw13, Superbone1, Ninja Moose, 234, Hulkins TV, Dragon 239, Onimusashin, Poopinshire, Ghost MWO, Vopdig, Vorpal Sword, Scrandum, Neurotoxic MWO, Major Incarnate. Thank you all for following me. I'll try to provide you entertainment.
Now, before we sign off, I think we have one more thing to do, and tell these people what they're in for the next couple weeks, because these matches are going to be great. We just saw 228th Blackwatch. They're up against Clan Smoke Jaguar in the next round. Steel Jags are going up against Imperial. That's going to be an excellent game, and then the winner of those two matches are going to duke it out for the finals. It's just 3 great games.
Definitely
be. When's the Steel Jag Imperial?
Imperial
game?
Steel Jag will be this Sunday night, 9:30 Eastern Time. Be sure to tune in for that. I assume Smoke Jaguars versus 228th will actually be earlier in the week than that. I'll let you know as soon as they get it scheduled. Watch Outreach for that post. And yeah, it's going to be really good stuff. This is down to the money now. The top 4 teams are getting like a share of the big like $2,500 like winners pot, $2,700 and $2,750, something like that, where it's split between them. And so now this is real money. This is serious business. This is where MLMW stands out from all other tournaments that came before it. The cash prize. So these teams are going to be fighting like crazy. Imperial versus Steel Jaguar is going to be a real grudge match, and I'm excited to see how that goes. CSJ and Blackwatch both looking really good, so that's going to be another great match. Be sure to tune in for that. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you, Army of One, for casting with me. It's always made it a lot easier, and you're pretty awesome,
yeah,
so
no
thanks,
problem.
man. And anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think I'm, after this, going to catch up on that Sony press conference.
Yeah, it's probably a good plan. Gonna go watch all of the stuff that I missed now. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will catch you later.